We begin tonight with a new bill signed into law by Governor Mike DeWine. Cell phones could be on their way out of Ohio public school classrooms depending on districts' decisions. Governor DeWine signed House Bill 250 into law this afternoon, which addresses cell phone usage in schools.
Jenny Bork live in downtown Dayton tonight. Jenny, what does this mean for our schools?
Well, Adam and Elise, public school districts in the state will now be required to create cell phone usage policies. It's meant to push districts to limit or restrict students' use of these devices during the school day. Dayton Public Schools Superintendent Dr. David Lawrence shared his district's beliefs with me today.
We believe that research tells us that kids minus the phones is positive for student achievement.
Kids may feel like they're missing something when they get to their classrooms next school year. That item everyone is so attached to, their cell phone, may not be with them depending on what school district they're in. House Bill 250 was signed into law Wednesday by Governor Mike DeWine. It requires all Ohio public school districts to create cell phone use policies. Governor DeWine saying this has been debated, but the research is clear.
Cell phones in classrooms pose a significant challenge to learning. It undermines instruction and exposes our kids to potentially harmful content.
The bill passed unanimously in both Ohio's House and Senate. The law makes sure districts will have guidance. It requires the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce to create a model policy districts can adopt or work off of. I spoke to Dayton Public Schools Superintendent about how this law could impact the district. He says they've already been working on a policy in anticipation of this law, but middle and high schools currently collect students' phones and give them back at the end of the school day, so the impact shouldn't be drastic. I asked him if taking phones away can have negative consequences.
I think most of the concern has been brought up regarding safety, because we know certain incidents have happened at schools where students have been able to reach out to their parents in a situation that's not good. Is that any concern if students don't have their cell phones?
We want families to feel comfortable, and that means the parents too. So we understand that thinking around, hey, my child cannot contact me, and we want to take that seriously. We do want to say, though, that although school shootings and emergencies like that make the headlines in America seemingly often, school is still the safest place to be in this country.
Governor DeWine says he hopes schools without policies will now look to schools that have them for guidance. One in our area is Yellow Springs. I got this statement about how the district's policies are working out. Quote, the cell phone guidelines have had a positive impact not only on student learning but also on social interactions due to fewer distractions. Our students are more engaged in their academic content and have exhibited more positive relationships with peers and staff. Our guidelines create additional opportunities for social interactions that help develop critical interpersonal communication skills and improve mental health, end quote. Dr. Lawrence is noticing the impact when he visits schools too.
Overwhelmingly, I see an environment that's much calmer, where kids can be much more focused on the schoolwork itself.
Governor DeWine says the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce's model policy should be available to districts in about 10 days. If you'd like to see my full interview with Dr. Lawrence, it'll be up shortly on our website at Dayton247now.com. Back to you in studio.
Jenny, thanks. Amanda's behind bars tonight after a several-hour-long standoff at a house in Dayton. Police say Noah Lowe was inside a home in King Avenue, wanted for weapons-related charges. Police suspected he had high-powered weapons in the house. A hostage negotiations team and SWAT deployed tear gas, used a bullhorn to order him out of the home hours later. Lowe surrendered, was seen limping as he was taken into custody.
2 people recovering tonight after a 3-vehicle crash sent them to the hospital. It happened at the intersection of North Dixie and Siebenthaler Avenue around 7 o'clock this morning. Now, 4 medics were called to the scene, 2 people taken to the hospital. 1 was taken to Dayton Children's. Right now, we're working to learn more about the extent of their injuries. Of course, as soon as we do, we'll let you know on air and online.
I want to give you a live look at I-75 south from our ODOT cameras tonight. All lanes you can see clearly they are back open, but this is after a semi-truck crash began spilling diesel fuel onto the highway. Now this is what that scene looked like. It happened around 2 this morning. All lanes there were closed for nearly 10 hours. The driver of that truck is expected to be okay.
A spokesperson for the Greene Town Center responding tonight after a
Child sexual abuse prevention now required learning in Ohio's hundreds of school districts. Next, why local school districts say Aaron's Law teaches young students the life-saving tools they need to protect themselves and how it's already helping area children in its first year.
Well, no rain on our radar this evening, but we have another one on the way. I'll time it all out for you. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Now to a Dayton 24/7 Now exclusive.
A little more than a year ago, Ohio became the 38th state to pass Aaron's Law across the state. Now that legislation works to protect kids from sexual abuse in and out of the classroom.
However, it was tossed around the State House for years before it took effect just this school year. So Gwyneth Falloon joining us now live in studio. And Gwen, how and why did this become a push here in Ohio?
In 2020, a Springboro School's teacher was convicted of sexually abusing dozens of first-grade girls right under the nose of parents and school administrators. It shocked and disturbed the district and the county, as well as its newly elected state representative who refused to stand by doing and saying nothing. Something that's been debated for years.
Sexual abuse of children is not something new in America. It's gone on for years, but no one said anything.
Should personal body safety and child sexual abuse prevention be taught in our classrooms?
I think this is a bipartisan issue. Loving our children and protecting our children are all of our responsibilities.
A responsibility Representative Scott Lips took upon himself after dozens of young girls were sexually abused by a Springboro School's gym teacher nearly 5 years ago.
The mothers found out when a young lady came home and said, really sad, and it's like, well, how can a first grader have that bad a day? And she said, well, I didn't get the reward. And mommy said, well, what's the reward? And she said, well, I didn't get to sit on his lap or get my back rubbed.
As a father, what went through your mind?
It's hard to believe that someone would be that aggressive. I don't know if you would call it grooming, but it was certainly an aggressive behavior.
It's a behavior Representative Lips believes could have been stopped if something like Aaron's Law had been in place. The law is named after Erin Marin, a victim of child sexual abuse, and is in place to save others from the pain she endured. Illinois, Marin's home state, became the first state by law to require the child sexual abuse prevention, but Vermont's State Board of Education has required it since 2009.
Children are innocent, they're naive. These children didn't know they were being abused, the difference between good touch and bad touch.
According to the CDC, a staggering 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 20 boys are likely to be sexually abused by their 18th birthday. And in more than 90% of cases, the child knows and trusts their abuser. Dayton Public Schools Superintendent Dr. David Lawrence says this law gives students across the state, including DPS's nearly 13,000, the chance to defend themselves.
It's important that we be able to provide tools for children to be able to protect themselves.
Aaron's Law works to teach K-12 students nationwide to recognize abuse and tell a trusted adult.
This is from the Children's Advocacy Center in Warren County. As a result of Aaron's Law allowing us to provide this education directly to students, there have been 2 cases that resulted in disclosures in the first series of education.
After years of back and forth in the state legislature and 2 failures, in December of 2022, Ohio became the 38th state in the country to implement Aaron's Law in its more than 600 school districts.
We're in the middle schools right now. We began that soft rollout of making kids aware of what their rights are as children as it relates to sexual abuse and their sexual orientation.
The 2023-24 school year is the first year districts are required to teach the curriculum in their classrooms, which Dr. Lawrence says is going well. The curriculum is designed at a level children can understand as they grow from elementary to high school.
It is very intentional to make sure that students are receiving information that is appropriate for their age. And it is tailored to the developmental needs of different students.
Scott DeMauro with the Ohio Education Association, like many educators in Ohio, has been in support of the law since its proposal, despite pushback from some.
I think there were some extremist elements in the legislature that are concerned about any mention of anything that gets labeled as sexual content. This is not about sexual content. This is about protecting the safety of kids.
I also asked Dr. Lawrence about his thoughts, why he believes there was some hesitation and reservation about implementing Aaron's Law across Ohio.
It is simply us making them aware, much like we make kids aware of the history of the United States, from the Revolution to now. So it's not trying to proselytize or change their beliefs, but simply awareness. I think that's a better choice of words.
For the parents who are still unsure, they can opt their children out, but districts are also able to modify the state's instruction to better meet the specific needs of its students. For DPS, it is trying to help students without a stable living condition.
We have students who are foster students in group homes, who are unhoused. They're at risk as well. We know for a fact that you're more at risk to be violated and taken advantage of.
But despite all that's been accomplished in the past, they say there's still work to be done in the future. Where would you like to see things go in 5 or 10 years?
I would like to see the bill maintain its integrity.
I would kind of like to see this be a space where we're no longer uncomfortable, where the questions you ask me about opposition, that those questions are gone.
I reached out to Springboro Community City Schools, but unfortunately its superintendent was unavailable to sit down with us. The district did send me this statement, which reads in part, quote, over the first 5 years, Springboro Schools has already been providing developmentally appropriate instruction in child sexual abuse prevention to its students that aligns with the state's requirements regarding Aaron's Law. Now, Ohio is the most recent state to pass Aaron's Law. The legislature is currently pending in the remaining 12 states in the U.S. Back to you.
All right, Gwen, thank you. This is a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam over Beaver Creek tonight. Much quieter evening considering the day was jam-packed with rain, huh?
Yeah, it's been pretty soggy the past couple of days. Overall, on and off showers have been around. Thankfully, we have cleared out, and with the rain that we've seen for the month of May, just 1.82 inches still. And in fact, from the past 24 hours or through the day today, only 1/100th of an inch in Dayton reported. So many spots saw some more. It was kind of hit and miss across the area. So we're still behind for the month, 0.43 inches behind for the month, and for the season, March, April, May, we are over a ½ inch behind. As far as what's going on right now, mostly clear skies, so we are starting to see things clear out. But as we see things clear, I do think we could start to see some fog developing across the area. This area of low pressure heads off to the east before our next one makes its way in by Friday. So we're going to enjoy a little break from the rain. Tonight we'll drop into the 50s, could see some patchy fog, upper 70s tomorrow, sunshine, a really nice warm day expected. And then Friday, there's our next round of rain. Scattered showers expected during the day on Friday. This will continue on before we begin to taper off. By the day on Saturday, there are signs that we could see some showers lingering for the first half of the day on Saturday, but I do think second half of Saturday looking good with temperatures close to 80 degrees yet again. And as far as precipitation goes, additionally on top of what we've already seen, maybe could see about a quarter of an inch or so. Signs are pointing towards our southern counties, maybe seeing just a little bit more, up to a ½ inch or so. But overall, scattered rain back on Friday, so enjoy the drier weather for tomorrow.
The Ohio EPA giving out over $1 million in grants to help stop the spread of mosquito-borne viruses. Which counties in our area could receive funding?
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Nearly 60 local health departments and municipalities across the state are receiving over $1 million in grants from Ohio EPA for mosquito control activities. The funding will help mitigate the spread of mosquito-borne viruses like West Nile and will help with the removal of scrap tires, which can actually become breeding ground for mosquito larvae. Now, 12 counties in southwest Ohio will receive a share of that funding, and those include Clark, Darke, Greene, Miami, and Shelby counties.
The 50th anniversary of the CenterPoint Energy Dayton Air Show presented by Kroger, less than 5 weeks away now, and to celebrate, Raising Cane's restaurants, they're all going to be giving away 5 sets of family tickets to the event. So from May 20th to June 14th, customers can visit any of their 5 locations in the Dayton area and enter to win tickets. Now, in a statement, Raising Cane says in part, quote, supporting our local communities during their biggest moments is what we do. We're proud to be a partner of the Dayton Air Show right here in the birthplace of aviation.
The Cincinnati Bengals now know which week they'll face each of their 17 opponents next season, plus big news today regarding Ohio State football and one of their games for 2024. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group. Good evening, I'm Matt Digby with a look at sports. The NFL announcing its full schedules for all 32 teams, all 18 weeks. Now, you may remember some teams have gone viral the last few years for how they reveal their schedules. However, I, for one, am not on Broadway in Nashville right now, but fear not, here are some of the Bengals' actual opponents for the 2024 season. Regular season opener at Paycor Stadium, September 8th against the New England Patriots. 2 weeks after that, a Monday night home game with the Commanders. It will air right here on ABC 22, and right now, 3 games are scheduled to air on Fox 45. The home game with the Browns will be a Thursday night, December 19th, weeks 17 and 18. Those 2 games, the dates and times will be determined later in the calendar year. The full schedule is on our website, Dayton247now.com. There have been talks for months, but it's now official. Ohio State will play Northwestern at Wrigley Field in Chicago this November. That's due to the Wildcats tearing down their old home venue, Ryan Field. There will be a new stadium on that site, but not before 2026. And many of Northwestern's home games the next 2 years will be at a temporary stadium at their practice facility. But with the large demand regarding an opponent like Ohio State, that necessitated larger sites like Wrigley Field to be possible hosts. Ohio State, by the way, has won its last 10 games against the Wildcats. Dayton Dragons continue their home series tonight against the Great Lakes Loons. Dragons coming off of a Tuesday win, but the visitors taking Wednesday's contest. They jump out to a 5-0 lead, and though the Dragons do trim the deficit to 1, they ultimately fall